Hi, welcome to Tea, Coffee, and Fantasy Football Podcast. We're back from a break and we're doing a first round mock draft.
Yeah, so I guess let's just get right into it. Why don't you start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars first pick?
I think it's a no-brainer, but Trevor Lawrence.
I also have Trevor Lawrence. And quick disclaimer, I I've drank the Chris Sims Kool-Aid, if you want to call it that, because I actually have Zach Wilson, who, spoiler alert, I have going number 2 to the Jets as my QB1. But the reason I'm taking Lawrence is because first of all, the grades on I have on these two are just extremely close. I basically have Zach Wilson as QB1 over Lawrence because of gut feeling, I guess, and I maybe prefer his play style. But also, why I'm taking Trevor over Zach, even if I think Zach is slightly better, just slightly. Trevor Lawrence has basically been announced as a Jaguar ever since the Jets screwed up and beat the Rams.
Oh yeah,
So
I think
I don't want to
it's
piss off the Jags fan base by taking a quarterback who is maybe slightly better. And it's not
you'd
like
have
Trevor
to
Lawrence
put
is a scrub.
you'd have to put $1 million to $1,000 on Zach and Trevor Lawrence going to the Jags. That's how high the odds are on Vegas right now. Get
Yeah,
into
it's basically official. Trevor Lawrence, talked about him as just, I mean, there have been a lot of just, I mean, the expectations for him are just super high. I mean, he's gotten some John Elway comparisons, some Andrew Luck comparisons. I think his play style is most reminiscent of Andrew Luck's. I don't know what we can say about Trevor that hasn't been said for the past like 3 years. So
okay. And then at pick two, I think most people have that, but Zach Wilson to the Jets.
all right, since we are running a bit of the time cap, you might need to cut me off with just the love fest I'm gonna have for Zach Wilson. I think he's like a 90% version of Aaron Rodgers, and I don't say that lightly. He has every single trait that you want to see in a quarterback. He is potentially the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen just come out of college. And I don't say that lightly because Trevor Lawrence is insanely accurate. Justin Fields, who we'll talk about later, is also pretty darn accurate. But Zach Wilson's ability to throw with leverage away from defenders and those contested balls, it's like Joe Burrow when he came out last year, except Zach Wilson has a more powerful arm. And his ability to navigate the pocket, extend plays, he sometimes uses his body to influence defenders away from where he wants to throw. And that's a special trait that 5 quarterbacks on planet Earth have, maybe.
Yeah, I know you're really high on him. I'm high on him too. Not probably not as high as you, but I've had as my QB two for a long time. Like, even during the Fields mania, Wilson has always been my QB two.
Yeah, I remember we were like early scouting these quarterbacks in November. We were both like, "Holy crap, Zach Wilson! This guy is just amazing!"
Yeah,
Like,
like his
wow.
act was just off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, like, just again, I probably have him as my QB1 because I'm biased because my favorite player ever is Aaron Rodgers, and he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. So
Mhm.
yeah, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers.
This is where it gets
And
in. So,
now, okay, so actually, I forgot to mention this. My mock is what I would do, not what I think what will happen. So no, I am not taking Mac Jones at 3. But
oh,
who do you have?
so this for me was between Trey Lance and Justin Fields, and this was hard. I think either would be a good pick, but I ended up going Trey Lance.
Ooh,
And the reason for this is I believe that Lance has a higher upside than Fields. And right now they have Jimmy G. So Jimmy G can mentor Trey Lance and Lance can learn behind Jimmy G. And I think that development for Lance will make him possibly have a better ceiling than Fields.
I I have Justin Fields, but I agree with just about everything you said. I think part of it is I feel like my evaluation on Lance is almost incomplete because his tape, some of it is just indistinguishable because his job was so easy. He had some spotty ball placement that I think that spotty ball placement was the reason I pushed Fields. I have Fields going 3. And I think upside, well, Lance maybe does have a higher upside. I think it's not that big of a difference. And I think Justin Fields could still return value on essentially the Niners spending 3 first-round picks on him. And I don't have those same ball placement concerns with Fields as I do with Lance. And I think the pro day was kind of an example of that, where Lance just he needs to figure out his ball placement issues and his accuracy, because I feel like he's not using his legs to drive the ball down the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Or Fields, should I say, but no pun intended. Yeah, but Fields, though, like, when I really came around on him, because he's had some stinkers like Indiana, Northwestern, but when I really came around on him was what he did against Clemson. Watching that live, I mean, he took a shot in the ribs the second quarter, and I think it later came out he was playing with some cracked ribs. He was not healthy, and then he proceeded to drop like 3 of the best throws I've ever seen him make. Basically, I was just like, that kind of competitiveness, toughness on the big stage. I mean, that's part of why I have Fields going higher, but also I do think, again, Fields or Lance, if they reach their upside, 3 first-round picks is almost a bargain.
Yeah, I agree with that. So pick.
Well, actually, real quick, do you want to address the possibility of Mac Jones? Neither of us are going to take Mac Jones. But
I think it's just smoke screen.
I'm almost scared that it's not, because Rappaport and Schefter have almost basically said at this point that the Niners are going to take Mac Jones. And keep in mind, Mac Jones at 3 may seem like a conspiracy theory. Like, when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, that's never going to happen. But keep in mind, and this is something that was brought up on the Bootleg Football podcast with Brett Coleman and EJ Snyder, that Baker at number 1 was once seen as a conspiracy too. And so was Daniel Jones at 6.
Yeah.
So I think there honestly is something to the Mac Jones at 3, which,
oh no.
Oh man. Like, let me put it this way. Mac, at the very best, the absolute mutant version of Mac Jones is maybe, just maybe, worth 3 first-round picks and nothing more. So I don't see how that returns value for the Niners at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Jones at all. Like, I've talked about this, but like, I'm just not a fan of him personally for a lot of reasons.
We'll get to Mac Jones later. I don't have him going super high. I think Mac Jones, the top 10, that's just too rich for me.
Yeah.
I used to really not like him. I kind of came around him a little bit, but I'm definitely not there with him as a top 10 pick.
Yeah, for sure. So pick 4, I have the Falcons taking Kyle Pitts. So this was a kind of awkward pick for me, because the Falcons really don't need an offensive tackle nor a receiving weapon. And in this draft, we didn't have trade downs. So I think in real life, the Falcons will trade down. But if they stay in the right place, Pitts is by far the best player available. And like, he's just amazing. I think it would just be a best player available pick at this point for the Falcons.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is, I think, by far the best player in this class. You heard me gush about Zach Wilson, but I think just at what they do, what position they play, and Kyle Pitts is quote unquote tight end. He's like 70% tight end, 30% receiver. But remember we were watching Kyle Trask in November, and we both had to like Google who number 84 was, because we're like, oh, who is this guy? Like, holy hell. And then when I actually turned away from watching Trask and focus on Kyle Pitts, I just fell in love even more. Like, he just cuts on a dime, runs super sharp routes. His hands are objectively the best in the class. His body control to go up and get contested balls is objectively the best in the class. And part of it, like, I remember we initially thought Kyle Trask was a first-round pick in November. Kind of cooled off on that, but part of the reason I felt like he looked good was because of Pitts. Yeah.
Pick 5. Who do you have?
I had the Cincinnati Bengals taking Penei Sewell. I will say it looks like they're going to go Chase, and I can kind of get on board with it, but what it comes down to me is the Bengals offensive line was the hottest of garbage last year, and well, tackle isn't even necessarily a huge need for them. It's more the interior that is just a dumpster fire, because they signed Riley Reif to play. He might play left for them, and then they might kick Jonah Williams to right, which would upgrade both positions, to be honest, because Jonah Williams is a better right tackle than left, in my opinion. And Sewell would kind of wind up replacing that. I don't know if they could kick Riley Reif inside or what, but just they gotta protect Burrow. I get Jamar Chase. I get that Burrow loves him, has a great chemistry with him. Chase would be a great Cincinnati Bengal, but my preference would just be Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I had that as well. Like Boyd and Higgins is a great wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 duo. And like your franchise quarterback, he got hurt because of a bad offensive line. Why not go out and get a generational left tackle for 10 years? Like I think Sewell is a no-brainer pick right here.
And then if you want to give Burrow somebody he can who he has chemistry with and he's played with, you can maybe get him Terrace Marshall at the top of the second.
Yeah.
That might be a good they could Cincinnati Bengals, maybe not that they're I don't know if they're gonna do this or not, but like they'll maybe sit down with Burrow and be like, Joe, look, we value your opinion, but we gotta make sure you don't die again. We'll take Penei Sewell, but if you want to get but we'll give you a receiver you're familiar with in the second round in Terrace Marshall, who would be a really good fit there too. Boyd could be in the slot, and Terrace Marshall could play on the outside. He played a lot in the slot last year, but Justin Jefferson did the same. I have no questions about whether Terrace Marshall can play on the outside.
Yeah. And then I think going off of that, pick 6, Jamar Chase, best receiver out there. Dolphins need a weapon. I think it's set in stone, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the Dolphins, I think, need a quick separator. I did consider Devontae Smith here because, like, Devontae Parker, I mean, he's a good contested catch guy, but I didn't see a lot of quick separation from him.
Parker's actually a top 10 in separated catch possessions, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like his bigger body, like, they didn't. It's tough to explain, but I feel like Devontae Smith, I guess, would have been a little more smooth, create more easy throwing windows for Tua, which I think Jamar Chase can do as well as bail Tua out of maybe some contested balls.
Mm-hmm. So pick 7. Who do you have?
Look, if I'm the Lions, I would want to trade down. Maybe the Bears offer the Lions 4 first-round picks to move up for Kyle Trask. I don't know, but I had the Lions taking Jalen Waddle, and because the Lions receiving core, now that they've lost Galladay, it's looking a bit yuck. And Jalen Waddle would actually pair pretty darn well with Jared Goff. Goff actually has a pretty good deep ball. If you design up like a good play action shot for him, you get him a clean pocket. Waddle with that 4.3, 4.2 speed. He's got a really good deep ball, probably better than he gets credit for.
Yeah, I had Waddle as well. I mean, Waddle's the best receiver available at this point, and like, I don't even know who the Lions wide receiver 1 is. A wide receiver, bad, and Waddle I think fits their needs perfectly.
Yeah. Then moving on to the Carolina Panthers, who did you have them taking?
I had them taking cornerback Patrick Surtain.
Ooh, I had them taking Rashawn Slater, a tackle. He could probably play guard, but he's most likely going to play tackle out of Northwestern. This is pretty simple. Sam Darnold almost died in New York behind just a miserable offensive line. Getting Mekhi Becton was only one piece. They still have like 3 guys who just can't play on that line. And just give Sam Darnold as much help, then you can tell whether or not he's any good.
Yeah, I would. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just was in favor of Surtain because ever since they lost Bradbury, they needed an alpha corner, and I think Surtain is one of the best corners in the draft. He is the best corner in the draft. And I feel getting a corner like him is going to fill their secondary in really, really well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just say, well, the defensive line, I think, might be good enough next year to compensate for not having the best corners. Like, they're going to have Derek Brown on the interior, who hopefully can take a step as a pass rusher. They're going to have Brian Burns, who's a superstar. Maybe Gross Matos takes a step up. I'd be more willing to gamble on the defensive line. And I think Matt Rule's like a good defensive coach. I believe in him getting his guys to play cohesively. So I'm not so much worried about the defense. I would just personally want to figure out if Sam Darnold's any good. Get an actual fair evaluation on him. Like, I'm not sure we really had in New York under Adam Gase himself.
So, pick 9. Who do you have?
I'm not sure if you'll like this or not, but I've kind of talked to you about this. I actually am taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a quote-unquote linebacker out of Notre Dame. And the reason I'm doing that and why I'm not taking Trey Lance is I just kind of had a hard time pulling the trigger on Trey Lance. Now, if this is full disclosure, I did not have the opportunity to interview Trey Lance. I feel like if Trey Lance interviewed well, showed me he really understood the game, which he set his own protections at North Dakota State. I just want to kind of see him, like the interview to get the IQ of the game would be really important, and just to see, his drive, his work ethic, because that's probably the biggest factor in his success. Lance has all of the physical talent in the world. But for me, as the Broncos, for example, like if the Niners do screw up and take Mac Jones, I would move up for Fields in a heartbeat. But
I've been taking Fields. I mean, I've been a lock truther forever, but I feel that Fields has the potential to be so good, and that I think he's basically day one ready. Like he'll be able to start on day one. So I feel if the Broncos are able to get Fields at 9 in real life, it would be like a slam dunk pick.
Oh yeah, if he somehow falls to 9, like yeah, I'd sell future first to move up to like 4 or something to get him, because just go all in. But I just had a hard time pulling the trigger on Lance, and I think that just due to Lance being so uncertain, just me sitting here from my armchair.
Lock, because like Lance needs to be mentored, and I don't think Lock's a mentor at all.
That's true, I guess, because Locke's also pretty young, but it would also be like a competition. Maybe bringing Lance would bring out something in Locke. I do get the Lance pick. I would just prefer Joker. That's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, because I mean, he's such a freak. Like his Clemson tape was special.
I wouldn't mind that pick, but I think if I was the Broncos, I could trade down a few spots and get like a third or a second and still pick him up.
Yeah, you could. Full disclosure, I don't have trades in this mock draft again, but this is almost me saying, screw it, let's just try to be the 2017 Jags, and maybe, and I guess in this scenario, I would hopefully have them like trade for Teddy, trade for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I feel Gardner would be a good target.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner still tried a 3rd-round pick for Gardner Minshew. That would honestly just be phenomenal, because it's a good litmus test for Locke too, because if Locke can beat out Minshew, then it's a sign that he's taken a step up and that he is a good quarterback. Because Gardner Minshew, I mean, he kind of has a noodle arm, but he's a good quarterback. So if Locke can beat him out, great. Locke's officially a good quarterback now. But if Locke can't, then it's looking kind of bad.
Yeah. Pick 10, Cowboys. Who do you have?
I feel like this is a huge no-brainer. I mean, I know you had this guy going earlier, but I took Patrick Surtain the second. The secondary is just, pardon my French, dog shit. This defense was horrible last year. Even their best players didn't just play pretty awful. Like Jalen Smith, like I already talked about, like his tape from last year was pretty just, I feel like they just weren't well coached. Their DC Mike Nolan's gone. They brought in Dan Quinn. Don't know how much better he'll be, but I mean, Dak can have to single-handedly put up 40 points a game if they want to win. And look, Dak's great, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to carry Mike McCarthy to just NFC championships that they really don't belong in.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they're going to go cornerback. Surtain is gone, so I think they're going to go second best available and probably J.C. Horn.
Yeah, I mean, just take corner, because God knows who's on that secondary now. All I remember was Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs, pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
They have a Woozy too. I think they have a Woozy.
Did they let him go? I'm pretty sure he's still on the team, but yeah. Anyway, but Surtain is, I think, a top 10 player. Yeah, just.
Yeah. Pick 11 with the Giants. This could be interesting. Who do you have?
I actually have them going Jalen Phillips, and the edge rusher out of Miami. And the reason I have this is because he has the best edge rush tape in this class. What's holding him back and why he's falling in most mock drafts to like the 20th pick or something is injuries. And well, apparently like UCLA had he initially was a 5-star recruit, initially committed to UCLA. He got 3 concussions, and then UCLA told him like you basically can't play anymore because he got 3 concussions. This is too dangerous. He retired, came back, played for Miami, and when Gregory Rousseau opted out, he just tore it up. He looked like a total freak 5-star prospect, and I think this is more just me gambling on the talent than I'm just kind of willing to ignore the injuries because simply as a player, Jalen Phillips at 11 is almost a steal with just how freaking good he is.
Wow, yeah, I didn't have Phillips going to much later, but my pick 11, I was going either between Devontae Smith and Rashawn Slater, and I ended up going Slater. Like I feel he's a very versatile player and just he's a good left tackle. He's a good player. The Giants need to shore up their offensive line, both for Jones and for Barkley, and I feel Slater is the pick to do.
Yeah, and I feel like giving Slater will kind of make this strike 3 year for Daniel Jones, kind of like what I talked about with Darnold. Give him a good team, and if he can't elevate that team, if the team's carrying him more than he's carrying them, then it's time to look elsewhere. So it's kind of giving a good team is like a good litmus test to see actually how good they are.
Mm-hmm. Next, I think this could be a no-brainer. Eagles, Devonta Smith.
Yeah, same. To me, it's
receiver.
Yeah, like it's kind of like create easy first read throwing windows for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is actually like I know from his Bama like freshman sophomore year at Bama, he looked like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But trust me, Jalen Hurts is now an accurate quarterback, but he still has work to do in terms of processing defenses quickly. And Devontae Smith, I totally think can help with that.
Yeah. Pick 13. I have the Chargers taking Christian Darrisaw.
I have the same, and that Chargers offensive line went from probably like the 5th worst in the league to they could be like maybe top 10 line, dare I say top 5, maybe not, but because they got Corey Linsley in center. You could thank Green Bay for that one. They signed Matt Filer, who's a capable like guard tackle from, I believe he was last in Arizona. They're getting Brian Bulaga back, and you don't like just as like Joe Burrow, you don't like just protect Justin Herbert. Now, if Jalen Waddle was here with Chargers at 13, I would be severely tempted because Jalen Waddle, that deep speed matched with Justin Herbert's elite deep ball. Like his deep ball is seriously elite, one of the 5 best in the NFL. But at the end of the day, Waddle's gone, and just take a left tackle because I don't know, like who were they starting last year? It was like Sam Tevy or something.
Yeah. Pick 14. I have who do I have? I had the Vikings going. What's his name? Vera Tucker.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah, he's an offensive lineman. He played both guard and tackle.
I fully expect this to not happen. I would be shocked if this does happen, but I had the Minnesota Vikings taking Trey Lance just because I feel like just swing for the fences. I think this is a Hail Mary. I don't think this team's going to be good enough for them to win a Super Bowl when Kirk Cousins is still their quarterback. I think they'll be a good team next year. I don't know if they'll be great. They're still in the same division as the Green Bay Packers. I just give that organization some hope and optimism for the future. I feel like Kirk will be a good sport about mentoring a young guy. And it felt like a pick 14. I was hesitant on Lance before, but I feel like middle of first round, I'm like, okay, it's time. We all know how freakishly talented he is. I've heard a ton of good reports about his work ethic and everything. So it just Vikings, they just kind of maybe get that great quarterback that like the Packers have had a great quarterback for, 30 years in this division or whatever. Just get someone who can, punch him back.
Yeah, I don't think Lance is going to fall, but like if he does, I feel that'd be a pretty good pick or a very good pick.
Yeah. And pick 15, New England Patriots. Who do you got?
I think I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Mac Jones.
I actually am not. I don't have Mac Jones going till a little bit later.
Okay.
Who do you have?
I have Mac Jones.
Oh, you had Mac Jones going there? Oh.
I do.
I have Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. Mm-hmm. And like he's a former 5-star prospect too. And I don't know, there's like obviously I've never interviewed him or anything, but like there's just been weird rumblings about some character concerns. But looking at his play on the field
or something.
Sorry, what?
I know he got in a fight or something. There's rumors of that.
I got to do more research on that. But what I came and Parsons' tape sometimes was a little bit limited in not in what necessarily he could do, but just what he had to do. He was often playing super close to the line of scrimmage. He's a phenomenal blitzer, but I didn't see him drop into coverage all that much or have to make quick reads in run fits. So I think he's a little more raw than I feel like consensus draft experts would say. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's a freak. And if anybody can figure out how to use this guy correctly, it's William Belichick.
I love Parsons. I mean, wait, sorry. Yeah. If in real life, if the Broncos, if they're up at 9 and like Fields and Lance are gone, or Fields is gone, I'll go Parsons. Like I love them that much. But I feel like Patriots, they want a long-term quarterback, and I think Jones is worth that shot.
Yeah, my question though would be: are we sure that Mac Jones is going to be that much better than Cam Newton? I mean, Patriots, I feel like maybe should move up for Justin Fields. I mean, there are going to be some teams that are bidding to move up to 4 or 7. Detroit. I don't think anybody's going to outbid the Bears because they're just way too desperate for a quarterback. But yeah.
Yeah. What pick right now? Pick 16. Cardinals.
Pretty straightforward. JC Horn.
Yep.
Secondary was kind of bad last year.
I had Caleb. Wait. Yeah, Caleb Farley. I just had piece of cornerback 3. The other 2 have gone so far. I think same as you. They need a secondary. Pat Pete left too.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. But I mean, yeah, there's some injury concerns I heard with Caleb Farley, like his back. It's almost like the same thing that kind of knocked Tony Romo's career short. But at the end of the day, 16, like just shoot for the moon. He could seriously be the best corner in the NFL in a couple years. So
okay. Pick 17, Raiders. I have him taking Jock. Jeremiah, whatever his last name is. I love him as well. I feel, especially in coverage, he's like Isaiah Simmons kind of type guy. So I feel it's a good pick. They kind of need a do-it-all linebacker. So I feel that would be a good pick for them.
Yeah, I'd agree. But since Joker is gone at 17, I had the Las Vegas Raiders taking Tevin Jenkins, a mean right tackle out of Oklahoma State. And when it comes down to, I don't know what the hell happened with the Raiders offensive line, but they lost Rodney Hudson, I believe.
Well,
the only guy left, I think, is like Richie Incognito. And that offensive line was the strength of their team. And rumors are that offensive line group wanted out for some reason, like a dispute with the coaching staff, some internal thing, whatever. And that's pretty alarming. That's a pretty big red flag on just John Gruden and his coaching staff right now, that like is the best position group doesn't want to play for them. But at the end of the day, I think John Gruden is going to love Tevin Jenkins because he has some special, most just fun tape to watch. Watch his game against Texas, where he went up against Joseph Asai, who's probably going to be a top 64 pick, and pancaked him like 5 times.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, like, he's technically refined too. I mean, he's a quote unquote Gruden grinder, so I don't see why not take him and fill the void that, I don't know, Trent Brown left.
What pick are we on? Pick 18. I have the Dolphins taking Kwity Paye. I don't know. I think Paye's the best available. He's really, really, really good. I guess edge rusher. And yeah, I feel Dolphins would benefit from him.
Yeah, I took Kwity Paye too. They need like a more alpha edge rusher. I think Kwity Paye can certainly be that. It was just kind of like BPA on defense. The roster's filling out. There aren't any glaring needs, so you have the luxury to go BPA right now.
19. I have Tevin Jenkins. You had him at 17. Yeah, I like the same stuff as you. Jenkins is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, in one of Brett Coleman's Filmer episodes, he described Tevin Jenkins as Brian Bulaga, but with rabies. So just Brian Bulaga, if he was just pissed off all the time on the field, like, don't get me wrong, Tevin Jenkins isn't like headhunting or anything, but from when the ball is snapped to when the whistle blows, aren't many more mean human beings on planet Earth. But yeah, anyway, I had the Washington football team taking Caleb Farley, and I believe, did they lose? Oh, geez. Is it Bradley Roby or Ronald Darby? Darby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And at this point, I think you could just take a shot on the upside of Caleb Farley. A lot of it depends on medicals. He just because the medicals, he might actually fall out of the first round, but strictly based on how good the player is on the football field, 19's pretty darn good.
Yeah. So at 20, I initially had the Bears going Rashad Bateman, but then I switched it recently. I had them taking Greg Newsome, I believe, a cornerback from Northwestern. And I feel, especially since Kyle Ford left, they're super weak at cornerback. And I mean, Newsome could be a reach, but it's definitely fills a position.
Yeah, they cut Kyle Fuller for some reason, and then the Broncos picked him up, which I thought was one of the best moves of the offseason. You guys got a complete steal. Holy hell.
We are united with Fangio.
Yeah. But I had the Chicago Bears taking, drumroll please, Mac Jones, quarterback out of Alabama.
If it happens, I feel that's a good pick for them.
I feel like 20 is the perfect sweet spot for Mac Jones, just with how good he is and the fit, because the Bears have the worst quarterback room in the NFL. They technically upgraded by bringing in Andy Dalton, who's still like an astronomically better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky, but Mac Jones will still be better than Andy Dalton. I think he's like a more accurate version of Jimmy G. I think that's what you'd be looking at. So in the end, the Bears just want somebody who can throw the freaking football. So yeah.
Pick 21 out of Titans or the Colts. Sorry, taking out Rashad Bateman. I love Bateman. He's super like all around well polished wide receiver, and I feel, especially since the Colts, they're lacking a true wide receiver. I feel he could step in and become a really good wide receiver number one.
Yeah, I love Bateman. I think he's got some of the best release in this class. I think I shouldn't say release, but it's kind of reminiscent of Justin Jefferson. I get that kind of vibe from Rashad Bateman, where he's kind of like the fourth receiver in a class which have two Alabama receivers at the top. And he plays physical. He's got great body control. And I mean, he's a more nuanced route runner than you might expect from a college prospect or from a guy who's bigger. So, I mean, if Rashad Bateman falls to 29 for the Green Bay Packers, spoiler alert, he won't, but I would still love it. Yeah, Rashad Bateman at 29 for the Packers would be an absolute no-brainer.
So next pick, or I have to go soon. We should probably hurry up. But 22 at the Titans taking Trayvon Moehrig. He's by far the best safety in the class, and I definitely feel like we need a safety.
Yeah, I also going back to 21. I had the Colts taking Samuel Cosmi, offensive tackle out of Texas. Anthony Costanza retired. They need a left tackle to protect Carson Wentz so he doesn't get ruined again. And 22, that's where I had them taking Rashad Bateman. Just talked about him, so let's move on to 23.
Who you have 23?
Patrick Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State. He's a little raw, but I think he can be like he gets baby Gronk comparisons. I think those are justified. Plus the Jets, I think they should want to run more heavier personnel coming with Michael Furr being more of a Shanahan hand coach. I'd expect more 12 personnel, more 2 tight end sets, that is. And the Jets tight end room is pretty bad. Chris Herndon he's a good athlete, but that's all he is. He's pretty bad.
This is actually a funny story about Freiermuth, or I don't even know pronounce his last name, but when I was touring schools in 10th grade, he was actually my tour guide at one of the schools. So I got to meet him.
Oh, he was? Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
He was my tour guide at Brooks.
And you could say that when he like catches 10 touchdowns from Zach Wilson one year. I mean,
He's
man.
my tour guide. Yeah, that's my indirect connection to him. I had the Jets taking, how do you pronounce this? Azeez Ojulari. Yeah. He's an edge rusher. Yeah, I feel he's a good, like, best player available, and they're certainly weak at edge.
Yeah, they could definitely use an edge rusher because that IDL is pretty ferocious. Moving on to 24, I had the Steelers taking Najee Harris. They lost James
I had that too.
Yep, they lost James Conner in free agency. Big Ben is deteriorating, and they should build an offense around a strong running game.
Yeah, they have Harris is just generational. He's insane. I have that too. 25, I have the Jags taking Samuel Cosmi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need to protect Lawrence, just get a good foundation around him.
I had them taking Elijah Vera Tucker, who fell more not just because I like Elijah Vera Tucker. It's just I didn't see a super big need for him. With me taking like Lance at 14, Tucker kind of fell. But I mean, like we said about him, he's versatile. He's going to be a good football player. So yeah,
Who do you have at 26?
I have the Cleveland Browns taking Greg Newsome, corner out of Northwestern, and I think you know what? Screw it. I'm actually going to change this right on the dot. I'm going to have them taking Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Bama. I
Yeah,
think
I had them taking him too.
yeah, he's not the greatest run defender, but Cleveland has guys that'll be able to defend the run on first down, and Barmore can come in on third down and be an absolute terror next to Jadeveon Clowney and freaking Myles Garrett. So the Cleveland Browns, I mean, Super Bowl or bust, I guess. Go Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the Browns taking Barnmore plus Clowney plus Garrett would be really nice. 26 or 27, I have the Browns taking Gregory Rosso. Early on, he was like a top 10 pick, but I guess he fell because he opted out. I know the Ravens lost Judon and Yannick Noguchi, so they definitely need an edge rusher, and I feel Rosso, how do you pronounce that? He has a super high ceiling.
Yeah,
So
he does.
they have a history of a good defense. I think they could help him become an elite edge rusher.
That I would love that pick, but I had them going in a different direction. I had them going Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. And I feel like we haven't even seen what Rondale Moore can really do because he was kind of, I guess, misused because the offensive line at Purdue wasn't very good. The quarterback wasn't very good. He didn't get a chance to run more nuanced routes to impress all the scouts. But I do think he can do that absolutely. And I mean, the Ravens could definitely use another wide receiver. Like Marquise Brown, he's a little bit disappointing last year, but I still think he can play. But just give him another speedy deep threat in Rondale Moore.
Yeah. Where are we at? 28. I have the Saints taking Eric Stokes.
I had the Saints taking Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. The Saints seem to be running a bit more of a hybrid defense than in a few years past. And Zaven Collins, he's talk about freaks. Like he is like what? He's 260, and he moves almost like the way he moves shouldn't be humanly possible for a human being that weighs 260 pounds. So
yeah, it's insane. Pick 29, your Packers. I have them taking Kadarius Toney, wide receiver.
I also have them taking a wide receiver. Shocking, I know, but I have them taking Terrace Marshall. I just think partly it'd be more likely that the Packers would take Terrace Marshall. He's a bit of a bigger guy, which they like to go for recently, for better or worse. I think he's also just like a guy who can also play in the slot from time to time, like he did a lot last year at LSU. And I like his ability on jump balls. He kind of reminds me of like a budget Justin Jefferson, not to be too lazy because they went to the same school, but I really like Terrace Marshall. But real quick though, I think what the Packers will do is they're going to take Creed Humphrey, center out of Oklahoma. I would, if I had money, I'd bet on it. So it's because it's why they let Corey Linsley go.
Or no, yeah, they lost him. So I guess that would make sense. I think it's with 29. That's 29. 39. The Bills taking Jason Owa. He's good. I mean, he didn't have any sacks, but I think that statistics don't show the best of him. He's a super underrated run stopper.
Yeah. The complaint I have with Jason Owa is I don't see a lot of power in his game. Like he ran a freaking 4.39 40. So I think we all know he is a really freaking good athlete, but I think he's a bit more of a project, honestly. So I had the Bills taking a project in Greg Rousseau, a guy who, I mean, he was just a freshman when he played. His tape was a little blah, but again, he was a bloody freshman. No freshman edge rusher is going to be Nick Bosa. So again, Bills probably want a superstar pass rusher on that defense. Ed Oliver doesn't look like he's quite going to get there. So just shoot for the moon. And they have a pretty good roster anyway. So
pick 31 Chiefs. I have them taking Terrace Marshall Jr. They need a wide receiver.
Well, actually, that pick now belongs to
Ravens.
Ravens.
I had them taking Terrace Marshall Jr.
Oh,
they need a wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, like I switched Moore and Marshall back and forth between the Ravens and the Packers a lot. Like either one could honestly fit. Honestly, it's more preference. I had the Ravens taking Dylan Radunes to fill the void left by Orlando Brown when they traded him for this pick to Kansas City. Pretty straightforward.
So, the Ravens, they're supposed to sign Villanueva after the draft.
Oh, so That'd be interesting. So then they would probably go wide receiver here if they're not going to take a tackle.
32. Who do you have the Bucks taking? I mean, I want to preface this by saying the Bucks, they're basically perfect all around. Like they could forfeit this pick and be fine.
Yeah. And for any of you who saw Peter Sugar's mock draft from a couple weeks ago, no, they're not going to freaking take Davis Mills. I think they would take Travis Etienne, running back out of Clemson. We probably all know who he is, but I think he's absolutely perfect for Tom Brady because, I mean, the running backs they had last year, look, Leonard Fournette isn't the best receiving back. He doesn't make a lot of people miss. His hands are kind of made of bricks. I like Rojo a lot, but he's a more straight line runner, and his understanding of the passing game is borderline non-existent. Like Brady was, like I said, I was getting super frustrated at him at times at point last season where Brady expected him to be in one spot and just Rojo went to the other, or Rojo just dropped it when he had 10 yards of space to work with. Like Brady wants a new James White. I don't think James White's coming here.
Yeah.
So just take a bloody freak in Travis Etienne and Tom Brady winning another Super Bowl.
I was considering that for a second, but then I guess I just went with Levi. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know, on Carusi.
Levi O. How about that?
Yeah, yep. I believe he's a defensive end from Washington. That's just like the best available. They could always do some work in the defensive line. Yeah. And there you have it. That's our first round mock.
Hope you enjoyed our mock draft. Can't wait till the real draft on Thursday.
If the Broncos take Mac Jones, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be so angry.
On one hand, you could make a case that there's a decent chance he's better than Locke day one, but I mean, you just trade up for Fields or maybe get Lance. I didn't do Lance personally, but I could totally get it.
I don't even know how to do. But yeah, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed.
Yep. Thank you. See you next time.